Alright, what is up my homies, and welcome today to Gray Gaming. Today on Settlement Builds for Noobs, we're going to take a look at a location that for many Fallout 4 players is the first settlement that they attempt to build, and as a result tends to be the messiest. I am of course talking about Sanctuary Hills. Before we get into the background, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to YouTube user Mason for suggesting this video. Sanctuary is an interesting location because it is the first location we encounter in-game. For most, it's the location encountered right after leaving Vault 111, and for those who don't put off the main storyline, it's the first settlement that gets constructed due to the Minuteman quest that serves as a tutorial for the settlement building mechanic. The location is an island surrounded by shallow rivers, and there is a rather large build area to work with. However, there is quite a bit of elevation change, unscrappable buildings, trees and hedges, and as it does replicate a nice meandering suburban cul-de-sac, it can be difficult to build anything in a straight line. So in a mod-free environment, that's what we hope to tackle today. So kick up your feet, grab an ice cold quantum, and let's get into it. Oh, and there will be spoilers. Alright, so getting started, we're going to go ahead and move across our old rickety bridge here. As you can see, there was a bit of a raider situation before recording this video. So we went ahead and took care of them pretty easily. So this location is kind of my Minuteman headquarters. So this is where all of my companions live. Of course, this is where Preston Garvey, the Long family, and Sturgis all live because that's where they're scripted to live in the game. So I just dump all of my companions at this location. So you're going to see a lot of characters. So once again, spoiler warning if you didn't know already. All right. So as we move across the bridge, we've got these nice Minuteman statues to kind of show who owns this place. And the first thing you'll notice is we have this large, heavy platform to step underneath. This is where we display our suits of power armor. This is where we have several automated turrets to deal with things like raider attacks coming across the bridge. And this is also where we have our heavy artillery battery. So people who are not new to the channel, who've seen my other videos, probably know I like artillery at all of my settlements. And so at this location, right now, there's currently just one gun manned, and that is being manned by our good friend Ada. So as usual, we have our suits of T60 power armor because this is one of my older settlements, so they get it. So they're not quite ready for the XO1 because I'm still sending all of that to my Starlight drive-in, but the T60 goes here. They are sporting a green paint job from the Creation Club just because I like it more than the standard vanilla color, but you don't need to paint stuff green. That's just something I have because it was free. And as usual, my power armor is being displayed without a fusion core inside so that nobody can just hop in and run off. All right, so before we head up the winding old cul-de-sac, we do have this large structure here. And as part of an older build that I had here previously, this was kind of my main facility at this location. And so I just kind of gutted it, left the concrete, left all the turrets that were on it, and I populated it with a lounge and gym and left the first floor empty in case I decide I want to add anything at a later date. So if we head up to the second floor, we have this nice sitting area where we're able to have small gatherings, meetings with people, or just sit and relax a little bit. We do have some nice potted plants everywhere, or every now and then, to just kind of give it a little bit of color and really give it that nice, clean atmosphere. Up here on our third deck, we do have our gym. So we do have 3 sets of electrical bikes, which purely serve an aesthetic purpose because they're not hooked to the power grid and I haven't assigned anyone to them. We also have 3 pommel horses and 3 weight sets. So those both generate happiness for the settlement without needing to assign anyone to them. So it's kind of a nice, cheap way to increase settlement happiness rating. Now, this settlement did only have like a happiness rating in the 60s when I started here. I think that about an in-game week has passed. So if we go into settlement mode, so yeah, we have a happiness rating of about 93. So a pretty steep rise since I started building here in-game week ago. All right. So as we move up our nice and heavily lit lane, we can see a lot of the unscrappable building structures, and most of these are vacant. I don't have anyone living in them. I don't have any beds, furniture, anything like that. The only exceptions are the players' in-game house and the house across the street that all of the Minutemen tend to hang around after you complete the sanctuary quest. So don't really worry about any of these large houses unless I draw attention to them. They're just completely empty. All right, so here across the bridge, we do have an enemy spawn point during attacks. And so I do have a pair of elevated firing platforms. So we do have some ballistic, some missile and laser turrets. These were just kind of ones I had left over from previous structures. So normally I prefer heavy laser turrets because they leave the least amount of mess. But this is what I had, so I just threw them in there. They actually provide more protection than the heavy laser turrets. All right. And so here we have kind of our main congregating area. This is where all of your traders would go, any of your visitors to the settlement. So I've got some nice signage on the wall. We've got the Boston Harbor Bar and Grill on the first floor. We also have a market and a clinic upstairs. So here we have our nice cafeteria. We have enough seating for 16 people if we really wanted to. That's more people than currently lives in the settlement. I thought about throwing some extra tables in, but I also decided that we could throw in a dance floor. So if there was live music or something, then we could have like community events in here. You also see a lot more signage in this location than my usual builds, and this is where all of my companions live, so this is kind of a settlement for VIPs. So I figured having a little bit more signage, a little bit more decoration to make it feel a little more inviting was probably warranted. We've got old Longfellow manning the soda fountain. And here in the back in the kitchen, we do have a sink, we have a tray for dirty dishes, and we do have a stove for cooking food. Of course, we have our level 3 bar and our Nuka-Cola mixing machine as well. So we've got pretty much everything you could hope for in a post-apocalyptic bar. And we do have all these booths too. I forgot about these booths. These provide more than enough seating for any settlement that you could build here. All right, moving up to the second floor, we do have our clinic, and the clinic is pretty bare bones. It's just a clinic, no seating right now, but I could easily throw some couches in here and maybe some potted plants for a waiting room. And we do have Kate over here manning the Phoraptor, so if you need an eye exam, she can hook you up. All right, and then here we have our settlement marketplace. And so we have weapons, we've got armor, we've got clothing and general goods. We also have a nice barber chair here as well, and a couch for you to sit at and wait for your haircut. So we also have a nice gun shop sign there. So the market is pretty vacant right now, but easily something that we can populate later on. We've also got our good friend Nick just standing here doing nothing. All right. So over here at our pre-war home, there's really nothing inside. Everything is really built around it. So we do have the trading post here, which gets really crowded. I'm not quite sure why, but caravans stop here extremely frequently. So we have kind of a traffic jam. We've got Trash Can Carla, we've got Doc Weathers, and it looks like there's another caravan who has guards as well. Oh, we have Cricket here somewhere. Yep, there's Cricket. She's halfway inside a Brahmin. So I'm not sure exactly why this particular location gets so many caravanners at once, but that's currently where we find ourselves. So in here in the Brahmin paddock, I just slapped up some wood fencing every now and then. And so it's nothing special, it's nothing fancy, especially when compared to like my Starlight Drive-In. But we do also have a Brahmin cage for catching additional Brahmin, which also generates settlement happiness. So over time, as I capture more Brahmin, that happiness rating will go up from 93 all the way up to 100 if I want. I could also throw in a cat trap, and increase the number of cats at this location as well. I don't know. Actually, I don't think there are any right now. So I could do quite a bit with the amount of room that I have left to continue to build settler happiness. We also have a nice dog kennel over here where our good friend Dogmeat is just chilling out in the shade. And over here, we have Murphy's Place. So this is where a lot of the Minutemen hang out and they just kind of hammer on the walls. This is where the workshop is located. There's also a number of crafting stations here already. And so I just went ahead and completed the garage. I threw in a heavy wall. I threw in a heavy door so it acts just like the workshop at the Red Rocket truck stop just across the bridge. And so we can close it up for the night if we want. We also have Mama Murphy apparently putting in some hard work. And we have some seating arrangements as well. So we've got Mama Murphy's chair, we've got some couches, and we do have a nice kitchen in here for anyone who just wants to hang out, cook a meal, and eat alone and not have to go to the Boston Harbor Bar and Grill for that. So this is just kind of a nice hangout for all of the people who for all the people who, by scripting, live at the settlement. Moving down the lane a little more, we have the Continental Casino. So this is kind of what most of my other settlements I refer to as the arcade. So we've got a couple pool tables, we've got a jukebox in the corner, we've got some Nuka World arcade games, we've got some slot machines from Vault 88, and we have the Creation Club arcade cabinets. So again, these can only be constructed if you have purchased them in the Creation Club, or in my case, I waited for them to go on sale for free, and now I put them in almost every one of my settlements because they generate happiness without having to assign any settlers to them. So they're a nice economical way to do that. They do just require additional power to make them run, just like the slot machines from Vault 88. We also have some nice bar seating, and we have a card table for anyone who wants to sit down and play a game of Caravan, or maybe even a game of poker. So around here, when we get to the cul-de-sac, you can see we have this nice elevated shooting platform. So there's a few different spawn points around here. And so having this gun platform here in the middle means that no matter which direction they take to try and enter the settlement, they're going to have turret fire to keep them busy. So I really like how this turned out. It's really difficult to get it centered, so don't look too closely at it, but it turned out pretty decent. So in here we have the bathhouse. So we do have a set of public restrooms. We have 3 restrooms that are all identical. They're just a toilet and a sink. You've seen these at many of my other settlement builds. We also have 3 showers, which are all fairly identical, and they are the decon stations. So if you hop in them, they will take care of your rad situation. And in the back, we actually have some changing rooms as well. So we do have some rows of lockers, a bench to sit at, and so you can come here, you can take your shower, and then you can go get dressed again without any problem. All right, and so here's the main housing for the settlement. We have the Minuteman Estates. So I tried to keep everything kind of revolutionary themed. So we got Boston Harbor Bar and Grill, the Continental Casino, and Minuteman Estates. So the first 2 floors are pretty identical. Each floor consists of 8 of these single-person accommodations. So they consist of a bed, they have a Vault 88 trunk, and they have a Vault Tech style locker. They also get their own light. So there's a row on this side, and then if we walk around to the back, there's another row on the back side. So the first 2 floors look pretty identical, so I won't bother going into every single room. But if we move up to the 3rd floor, this is where we end up with the general suite, which I forgot to throw up my neon lighting for that, so I can easily add that decoration. And this is a little more modest than what you see at some of my other build locations, but this is still pretty luxurious by the in-game standards. So we have a nice comfy couch with an ottoman. We've got a nice sitting area here for you to hang out and talk to some of your friends. We do have a private dining table if we want to have dinner with our friends. We do have a private bathroom. So we do have a toilet and a sink. We don't have a private shower at this particular location. And then in here, we have our private bedroom. So we do have a bed, we have a Vault-Tec trunk, we have a dresser, we have a locker, and we have a nice wraparound desk. So pretty much anything we could want to store at this location, we could if we wanted. And so that is it for the general's quarters. So if we go around back, we do have some overflow housing. So right now, everyone at the settlement lives on the bottom 2 floors. But if we decided to expand the settlement a little bit, we do have some additional housing. It's just a little bit smaller than what you saw at the other one. So these ones just have a bed, a footlocker, and a steamer trunk. And they're all more or less identical. So I won't bother going into all 4 of them. So this settlement does support technically a population of 21, but one of those beds I'm reserving for myself. And so that's it for the Minuteman Estates. And this brings us to the end of the cul-de-sac, but we're not done with the settlement yet. And Paladin Dance is just sitting around doing nothing. A lot of the companion characters tend to have issues. Like Strong, he just hangs out in the greenhouse all day for some reason. So down here, we have our pump house. So if we open it up, we can see we have an industrial water purifier. So it's nice and well protected in here, but we also have all this ventilation up on top. And we also have this grating down below. So it lets water freely flow into the pump house. We don't have to worry about droughts or anything like that. So this gives us everything we need to make it work, and we also don't have to worry about being attacked by mirelurks or something if we have to go down to repair the water pump. So I like how that one turned out. Also, if we move up the hill, we do have this unscrappable jungle gym area, and maybe this would have been something worth trying to include in a gym. But honestly, I can't find a useful way to make these work. They're kind of bent. They're obviously not safe to use anymore. So I just kind of ignore them where possible. So moving up here, we have our reactor shed. So we do have 2 fusion generators because of the number of turrets at this location. We need both of them to keep everything powered. And it's the same basic story. We have the row of solid concrete walls to protect the generators. And then we have the ventilation row above it. So we get plenty of airflow in here. We don't have to worry about the generators overheating or anything. All right, and so here we have our greenhouse. So I tried a slightly different approach to my greenhouse here than I do at other settlements that use them. So at my usual ones, you may have seen, especially with my dock areas, the corner pieces for the glass building structure are broken out. They have broken panes of glass. But if you use this angled piece for the end walls, then they don't have any broken panes of glass. So you don't get quite as geometrically neat of a shape, but you do end up with a full glass enclosure. So I really like this. I'm probably going to switch to this style for all future glass buildings that I use. But anyway, back to the greenhouse. We do have every type of plant that you can plant in the workshop at this location. So we do have melons, we have gourds, we have carrots, we have corn, potatoes, mute fruit, and razor grains. So we don't have a single subsistence crop. So we don't have to worry about anything wiping out a single crop and everybody loses their food supply. And we also don't have to worry about everyone having nutritional deficiencies. We also can have crop rotations. So even though none of that is an actual in-game mechanic, it is kind of nice for that world-building exercise going on in the back of my brain pan. And that does it for touring all the individual structures at this location. And so there you have it. That is my build for Sanctuary Hills. I had a lot of fun doing it, and this settlement required quite a bit of correction in order to make it look decent. During my Red Rocket truck stop video, you probably caught some glimpses of some large tower structures in the distance. So when users began suggesting Sanctuary Hills, I decided this was an excellent excuse to tear everything down and start over from scratch. And so that's exactly what we did here, and I love how it turned out. As always, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can see every time we upload new content. And with all that out of the way, stay safe, and I hope to see you all here next time at Gray Gaming.